Good morning. Welcome back. Hope everybody's doing well. The RCA Living Stereo catalog, those records recorded in stereo and pressed on standard vinyl, no Dynagroove, that was RCA's compression algorithm in use from 1963 to 1970 that ruined many a release, but allowed bass-heavy recordings and complex treble information to play on cheap turntables of the day, and no Dynaflex, a thin, lightweight vinyl in use from 1969 to 1979. Just standard RCA issues on regular vinyl. Simply 10 records that are somewhat plentiful in the used bins and easily available on Discogs and eBay. Some of these originals have been reissued on classic records and analog productions, many with fabulous results. However, for some, the hunt for a clean original is fun. As such, the recommendations I'm giving you today are priced for a near-mint copy. I'm not too bothered by the state of the cover, although a near-mint is always nice, but these classic recordings from the golden age are best experienced with as quiet a pressing as you can find. Pressings, always the honeypot for the very best and worth seeking out. There is much written about this, but suffice to say, if you get a near-mint early stamper from RCA's Indianapolis pressing plant, you are pretty well set. That said, later stampers can and do sound good, and from other plants such as Rockaway and Hollywood. As for Canada, many times RCA used the same metalwork, or they just pressed in the States and threw it in a made-in-Canada jacket. You can get lucky, a few are dynamite. With today's recommendations, I'll give you the stamper, etc., and what to look for. I will tell you I'm a huge fan of many of the quality reissues and own many. There are reissues of some of the records I'll show today, but for the most part, I'm happy with the originals, and in one or two cases, I feel the original is markedly better. These recordings from the musical capitals are produced by great engineers and producers and recorded in magnificent acoustics on tube equipment, and on many originals, this heritage shows. So let's get to the fun stuff. The first one is a stereo RCA Victor, but its number is SB 2146, a Beethoven Kreutzer Sonata and Bach's Concerto for Two Violins. This is with Heifetz, the great Heifetz, and this is an original Decca pressing of an RCA. You can see the label there, made in Great Britain. Interesting. This was recorded in 1961. And I think Cisco did a reissue of this. I've never heard it. I'm sure it's very good. But it's a wonderful recording. Heifetz is absolutely brilliant as usual. And the Kreutzer Sonata, if you don't know it, it's a magnificent sonata by Beethoven with one of the most beautiful second subjects in sonata form in the first movement. It's absolutely beautiful. And Heifetz plays the absolute hell out of it with Brooks Smith accompanying. The Bach Concerto for Two Violins, he was a big star at the time, Eric Friedman. It's good. The New Symphony Orchestra London, Sargent conducting, that's the yellow. So it's good, but I'm here for the Heifetz Beethoven. Next up, Reiner, Beethoven 7. It's LSC 1991, recorded in 1958 from Chicago Symphony Hall. And this is recorded by Leslie Chase, an engineer with RCA. It's a wonderful performance with the Chicago Symphony. This is a Canadian Plum label. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Canadian pressings. You see, sometimes when you see a Canadian pressing in pop music or in jazz, it's a bit of a mark of death. But on these living stereos, it's not so bad, especially when you get them for so cheap. This is around $20. And the Indianapolis one is quite hard to find. Indianapolis pressing being the best pressings, the best U.S. pressings of these records. I will tell you that that a lot of times you don't find the M from Montreal, which is where they press them, the M in the dead wax, the M stamped in the dead wax, because I think a lot of times they just sent the metalwork up and had it pressed there, and so you're getting the great metalwork that RCA produced, and getting them for cheaper. So this one's about $20. This is an 11S, so it's quite a late stamper, but it still sounds very good. It's a very fine performance of Beethoven 7. Middle of the road, good tempos, great horns, beautiful woodwinds. Again, the plum pressing. And don't let the Made in Canada scare you to get these originals. This is a very special record. This is LSC 2208, Living Stereo, Monteur with the LSO doing Scheherazade. Wonderful recording from 1958. You can get the Rockaway pressing quite easy. That's Rockaway was another pressing plant, RCA. This is a 4S Indianapolis pressing with I stamped in the dead wax. And you can get this for about $20. It's a wonderful performance. Not the best one. It's not as good as the Reiner, but it's very close. And it's lovely to have an original and a 4S Indianapolis. There's the magnificent label that everyone loves. This is a wonderful record too. This is LSE 2241, Tchaikovsky 1812 Overture, very famous record with the Chicago Symphony, beautifully played. Did not sell anywhere near as well as the equivalent Mercury with the Minneapolis Symphony with Dorati, because they used recordings of real cannons from West Point, and there were no cannons on this one, and that Mercury sold 1 million, and this one they took off the shelves because it wasn't selling. But it's a wonderful performance, and if you don't need cannons, this is great. This was recorded in 1958. Now, unfortunately, you're going to have to get a Canadian pressing, I think, which is about $20. This is a 2S. It's very, very good. Again, no M in the dead wax, which means they just probably sent the metalwork up and pressed it in Montreal, which is absolutely fine. The Indianapolis NIM mints are up to $200, so they're expensive. But, the Canadian pressing sounds very, very good. Highly recommended. I've spoken about this recording lots on my channel. This is LSC 2298. This is the magnificent LSO Bartok Symphony No. 2 with Jean Martinoff, very underrated conductor. Also got a very beautiful little piece filler, the March from Tsar Sultan, also by Rimsky-Korsakov, which is a wonderful piece. This was originally recorded in 1959. This is a 2S Canadian pressing. Again, no M in the dead wax for the same metalwork. $50 and up for an Indianapolis pressing. And there are many reissues of this, and good ones. They're easy to get and they're uniformly excellent. But for this one, search the used bins, avoid the plentiful mono, and hope you get lucky for a cheap pressing. The reason it's so rare is because it's so bloody good. The performance is magnificent. A lot of people recommend the ORG, the Bernie Grumman recut of the L'Orchestre de Suisse Romande with Ensemble. And it's very good. And the original London is very good. And the Decca is very good. But the orchestra is just not the same as the LSO. And this is a crackerjack performance. Very highly recommended. Here's the label. I've shown the dead wax before. It gets really tight. They put the whole symphony on one side. But there's no distortion. It's really wonderful. Well, there's no distortion depending on your setup. Let's just put it that way. Another wonderful original, if you can get it. This is LSC 2323. This is the great Kirill Kondrashin, Russian conductor in New York, slumming it with the RCA Victor Symphony Orchestra, which is basically the New York Philharmonic and the Met Orchestra and the NBC Symphony joined together. I think they recorded this in the Manhattan Center. I'm not sure. It's pretty hard to find out where they recorded it. Great repertoire with Tchaikovsky Capriccio Italien and Rimsky-Korsakov's Capriccio Espagnol. Wonderful performances. Not the finest you'll hear, but very, very dynamic sound. Recorded in 1959. This is a 3S stamper. Canada, no M in the dead wax again. Indianapolis is about $30, but the Canadian you can get for much cheaper. Louis Layton was the engineer, and it's just a wonderful, happy recording. Great cover. Regular label. A famous record now. This is LSC 2327. This is the Jean Morel Royal Opera House Covent Garden, Bizet l'Alésien Suites, and Espagne Rhapsody by Chabret with his Marche Joyeuse. Lovely piece. You can see the famous misprint, Royal Opera House Convent Garden. It's actually Covent, Covent. And this is a very special record for me. My flute professor was principal flute on this, so all the wonderful flute playing here on this is with Harold Clark, amazing flute player, an amazing teacher, an amazing man. This is recorded in 1959, and a 20 Indianapolis pressing is about $25. This is a 1S stamper, Canadian pressing, no M. It's about $20. So it's still wonderful. But if you can get an Indianapolis pressing, it's great. Great repertoire. That's the label. Highly recommended. Fun record. Fun record. I've talked about this one lots. It's magnificent in every way. Great performance. This is the LSC 2374, the Bartok Music for Strings, Percussion, and Celesta, and the Hungarian sketches with Reiner and the Chicago Symphony. It's just superb. This is a 3S stamper, Canadian, no M in the dead wax, but in Indianapolis it's about $30. They were released at the same time. Again, they probably just stamped it in Indianapolis and sent up the metalwork to Montreal, probably for licensing reasons, who knows. But this is a Canadian pressing, and it sounds incredible. I've done a whole video about this. So, yeah, it's amazing. Another one of my Indianapolis low stampers. This is a 4S with the eye in the dead wax for Indianapolis. This is the Monteur LSO Dvorak Symphony No. 2, which is actually Symphony No. 7. Don't get me into his numbering system. This is LSC 2489. Recorded in 1961. It's a wonderful performance of a wonderful symphony. Again, it's about $20 in Indianapolis. This has been reissued lots of times, but if you get the original for $20, you don't need it. It's a fantastic recording. It's probably Kingsway. It's originally by the Decca people. And there it is there. Wonderful. If you don't know the symphony, everyone knows the ninth, of course, the New World, and the eighth is also beautiful. 4 almost perfect movements, the symphony in G major. But the seventh is also wonderful. Great opening movement, very reminiscent of Brahms, but with Dvorak's own kind of bohemian rhythms and inflections. Fantastic. And Monteur, could that man do anything wrong? I mean, everything you've recorded is like gold. And our last record is the famous Strauss waltzes, Reiner with the Chicago Symphony, making them sound like the Vienna Phil. And it's LSC 2500. Beautiful cover, a beautiful record. I've talked about this lots. This is one where the original absolutely smokes the classic records reissue. Maybe it's the analog productions, I'm not sure. It's okay, but it's kind of overblown. This is absolutely perfect. The opening of side one, if you want to get the your system tuned in as far as orchestral balance is concerned, because Reiner, of course, gets it perfectly. And it's just absolutely gorgeous from the bass right up to the triangles and the treble. This is a 4S stamper Canadian, no M in the dead wax. It's about $30 and worth every penny. There's the label. So that's it. 10 originals. Living stereos that you can get for cheap. I mean, $20-25 these days is not much. So thank you so much for watching. Again, always please like and subscribe, and please comment. We love your comments. It really helps the channel, and we very much like engaging with the viewers. And finally, a quick shameless plug for our weekly live stream. We've done 3. They've been a lot of fun. A lot of people watch them later because they sometimes show up in the middle of the night in Europe and Asia. But 5 p.m. on Wednesdays, and it's everything to do with classical music, not just vinyl. We've had a lot of fun with some wonderful comments and questions, and we've had a few guests on, and they've been great. So please come on and watch 5 p.m. every Wednesday, 5 p.m. at Audiophile channel. Have a great day.